Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by, and welcome to JOYY Inc.'s second quarter 2021 earnings call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. After the management's prepared remarks, there will be a question and answer session. I'd now like to hand the conference over to your host today, Jane Shi, the company's Senior Manager of Investor Relations. Please go ahead, Jane.
Thank you, operator. Hello, everyone. Welcome to JOYY's second quarter 2021 earnings conference call. Joining us today are Mr. David Xueling Li, Chairman and CEO of JOYY, Ms. Ting Li, our COO, and Mr. Alex Liu, the General Manager of Finance. For today's call, management will first provide a review of the quarter, and then we will conduct a Q&A session. The second quarter 2021 financial results and webcast of this conference call are available at ir.joyy.xg. A replay of this call will also be available on our website in a few hours. Before we continue, I refer you to our safe harbor statement in our earnings press release, which applies to this call as well, as we will make forward-looking statements. Finally, please note that unless otherwise stated, all figures mentioned during this conference call are in US dollar. I will now turn the call over to our Chairman and CEO, Mr. David Xueling Li. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our second quarter 2021 earnings call. We maintain our growth momentum in the second quarter, despite the negative impact from local holidays in certain regions. During the second quarter of 2021, we grew our total revenues by 39.7% year-over-year to $662 million, while BIGO's revenue increased by 38.4% year-over-year to $598 million. Notably, this quarter, on a non-GAAP basis, we almost achieved break-even at the group level for the first time after we deconsolidated JOYY Live, as BIGO's non-GAAP net margin continued to improve to 3.3% from 1.6% quarter-over-quarter, and its non-GAAP net profit increased to $19 million. Before we go into the detailed development of our products, we would like to share with you the latest progress in the further enhancement of our localized content offerings. As discussed on last quarter's call, we view our content ecosystem as one of our strategic cores that determine the long-term competitiveness of our products. During the quarter, we have made great strides on expanding our product content variety and enlarging our premium content library. Based on our thorough insights into local users' content preferences, we partner with gaming entertainment companies and local talent agencies and brought in a multitude of high-quality streamers and content creators in categories such as gaming, variety shows, music, lifestyle, and many others. In the entertainment content category, partnering with local entertainment agencies and celebrities, we achieved meaningful progress in further expanding our premium content and assembling top local talents in the music and variety show category. In the US, BIGO Live hosted the BIGO Idol Talent Competition in May with an all-star lineup of judges such as Tamar Braxton, Krisha Turner, and DJ Wookie, attracting over 300,000 unique views. In Turkey, our platform attracted the king of pop music, Sada Ortaç, and the iconic new generation singer, Ram Darisi, to become star streamers on Bigo Live. In Thailand, Mai, one of our Thai country music streamers on Bigo Live, participated in Bonus Karaoke, a top music variety show, and debuted to great fanfare. To provide a stage of other country music singers to showcase their talents, Bigo Live Stimulatiness launched a country music competition, bringing in celebrity advisors and professional judges. In collaboration with a renowned local talent agency. After test running our gaming streaming channel on Bigo Live and officially launched our own esports activities called Bigo Fun in the Middle East region in 2020, we have organized a variety of events, including video creation challenges and content covering multiple hit games. In the second quarter, we partnered with a number of gaming companies and further enriched the gaming content on our platform to better safety our users' enthusiastic demands. In June, we reached a strategic cooperation agreement with King of Avalon, Dragon Warfare, a mobile strategy multiplayer role-playing game. We launched in France and Germany a series of middle-age themed online gaming events, during which virtual treasure chests were released randomly to the audience without turn into the live streaming channel, while local top gaming live streamers played games and interacted with their local fans. In Indonesia, Bigo Live became the exclusive partner of the Free Fire tournament and the live stream playoffs among 137 teams, bring immersive esports experience to the local audience. In addition to our continued expansion of content categories, we have pursued seamless integration of content with rich and diverse local culture. As mentioned previously, our mission is to cultivate an inclusive and global community where everyone can be heard and seen. Diversity and inclusiveness manifested not only in the number of regions in which we operate or the variety of content categories we have made available, but also in the degree at which we have integrated our content with local culture, user behavior, and social environment. For example, during Ramadan, Bigo Live launched the Good to Be Good campaign in Indonesia. The campaign motivated local youngs to express their creativity by showcase Ramadan's unique culture and customers through music or stand-up comedy shows, thus winning endorsement from Indonesia's Ministry of Tourism and other government agencies. As content creators served as the foundation of our success in creating and maintaining a vibrant and engaging content community, we have implemented extensive programs to identify, develop, and motivate talent creators. In the past quarter, in addition to host local culture-themed competitions and talent challengers to better identify talented content creators, JOYY also worked with external partners to help creators improve their public exposure, expand their social influence, and pursue content creation as a lifelong career. For example, in the second quarter, JOYY hosted the third season of the JOYY Star Idol talent show in Indonesia. In collaboration with a local entertainment company, JOYY selected 5 top participants to form a pop girl group called Dream Girls, which debuted soundtrack and music video garnered playback on more than 116 Indonesia radio stations, attracting a slew of offers for touring contents and commercial advertising. That was JOYY's pilot project to test drive its ability to identify, develop, and motivate professional content creators. Going forward, JOYY will launch more supporting programs to direct more user traffic to creators, help creators monetize their content, and thus creating a friendly, engaging, and dynamic content community. With a combination of more diverse, high-quality content from an increasing number of talented content creators, we believe that we will be able to build a richer and more lively content ecosystem and further expand our platform's user base. Now, let me share with you the quarterly updates of our core product lines. For Bigo Live, despite the negative impact from local holidays in certain regions, its overall MAU grew by 0.3% year-over-year to 29.5 million, while its MAU outside of India increased by 27.8% year-over-year, thanks to its progress in localizing its content ecosystem. Meanwhile, its paying user increased by 10.7% year-over-year, contributing to a year-over-year revenue growth of 31.8%. Geographically, Bigo Live maintained its well-diversified growth. Developing countries continued to outperform, as its regional revenue grew by 47.6% year-over-year. In particular, revenues from Europe grew by 104.6%, and the revenues from Eastern Pacific region grew by 52.5%. Revenues from Southeast Asia and other emerging countries grew by 31.7%. Through product upgrades, Bigo Live continued to improve its user live streaming experience, as evidenced by the 1.6% sequential increase in average duration of live streaming sessions this quarter. By optimizing its content recommendation algorithm, Bigo Live improved the average viewer time spent among its new users by 4.4% sequentially. Furthermore, by introducing more gaming contents, Bigo Live improved its overall user engagement during the quarter and prolonged its average viewer time spent in gaming streaming sessions by 40.9% sequentially. Next, about Likee. As mentioned in last quarter's call, because we prioritize our long-term growth, we have placed a greater emphasis on the health and sustainability of our ecosystem and growth model. That's why we have adjusted Likee's marketing strategy and focus our investment on content and social ecosystem since the first quarter. As a result of our marketing strategy adjustment, combined with Indian government spend since the third quarter of last year, Likee's MAU contracted by 38.6% year-over-year to 92.3 million. MAU outside of India increased modestly by 6.8% year-over-year. Despite the temporary user base fluctuation, Likee's total revenues in the quarter continued to increase by 136.7% year-over-year, mainly driven by strengths in developed countries and the Middle East. Revenue from developed countries increased by 106.3%, and the revenues from the Middle East multiplied by 4 times year-over-year. Product-wise, Likee upgraded its subtitle function based on TTS technology to provide automated subtitle and dubbing, but also updated features which enabled video upload up to 3 minutes and post-production recording, thus providing more efficient content production tools to content creators, especially those in the informative content category. Furthermore, Likee updated its user traffic allocation and content distribution mechanism to direct more traffic to creators' private domains. As a result, creators' private traffic increased by 25%, strengthening the social connection between creators and their followers. To motivate users and creators to participate in live streaming, Likee made multiple updates to its fan engagement features and achieved a 7.7 times increase in the daily number of users joining fans group, which in turn motivated creators to host more streaming sessions. By updating social interaction features, Likee improved its user experience in live streaming sessions and achieved a 22.3% sequential increase in its average duration of streaming sessions, as well as a 30.9% increase in its average streaming time per user in multi-user chat rooms. Lastly, about Hago. Similarly due to marketing strategy adjustments and the Indian government stance since the third quarter of last year, Hago's MAU fell by 62.9% year-over-year to 11.8 million in the second quarter. MAU outside of India increased by 25.5% year-over-year. However, Hago continued to make meaningful progress in its user interactivity and product commercialization. Its revenue grew by 54.3% year-over-year, and its non-GAAP operation loss narrowed further on the sequential basis. In the second quarter, Hago launched its version 4.0 product to better satisfy users' needs for interest-based social entertainment. In this version, the feature channel enables users to engage with friends and community members and freely communicate with one another in the form for real-time text, voice, video, and interactive games. Users can also publish posts in their virtual family, thus fulfilling their real-time as well as non-real-time social desires. As a result, the penetration rates of Hago's featured channel increased by 7.4%, and its 30-day user retention rates increased by 5.5% sequentially. During the quarter, Hago launched in party game a number of popular games which feature multi-user audio chatting and gaming functions, as well as upgrades of user experience in real-time interactive games. As a result, the penetration rate of party game increased by 10.7%, and the average user time spent increased by 30% sequentially. To conclude, despite the negative impact from local holidays in certain regions, we maintained the growth trajectory of our global business and achieved significant progress in further enriching our localized content offerings. With the enhancement of our products monetization, improvement in our operation leverage, and execution of more prudent marketing strategy, we almost reached the break-even on a non-GAAP basis at the group level for the first time after we deconsolidated JOYY line. Despite the recent volatility in the macro environment and the increasing uncertainty due to COVID-19, we remain committed to our long-term vision and corporate mission. We will continue to deploy our resources to areas that can sharpen our competitive edge, including further optimization of our localized content and social ecosystems, as well as enhancement our research and development abilities, so that we can create greater value for our shareholders. With that, I will now turn the call to Alex Liu, General Manager of Finance, for a more detailed explanation of our quarterly financial results.
Thanks, David. Hello, everyone. As JOYY Finance General Manager, I will talk about the financial results. Since a majority of our revenues and expenses are now denominated in USD, starting from January 1st, 2021, we have changed our reporting currency from RMB to US dollar to better illustrate our operational results. Please note that the financial information and the non-GAAP financial information disclosed in our second quarter earnings press release is presented on a continuing operating basis, unless otherwise specifically stated. Starting from the second quarter of 2020, the company deconsolidated HUYA and accounts for our investment in HUYA as an equity measured investment and apply the equity measured accounting 1 quarter in arrears to enable us to provide financial disclosures independent of the reporting schedule of HUYA. Also, as the sale of YOYY Life was substantially completed on February 8, 2021, with certain customary matters to be completed in the near future, the historical financial results of YOYY Life are reflected in the company's consolidated financial statements as discontinued operations accordingly, starting from the fourth quarter of 2020. During the second quarter of 2021, despite the negative impact from local holidays in certain regions, we maintained our strong growth momentum and delivered robust financial results. Our total net revenues for the second quarter increased by 39.7% year-over-year to $661.7 million from $473.5 million in the same period of 2020, primarily attributable to BIGO's continued paying users growth and enhanced monetization capabilities. In particular, our live streaming revenues for the second quarter increased by 79.7% year-over-year to $629.6 million, driven by live streaming revenues growth from BIGO. Other revenues in the second quarter increased by 40.3% to $32.1 million. Cost of revenues for the second quarter increased by 32.2% year-over-year to $458.3 million. Revenue sharing fees and content costs increased to $289.1 million in the second quarter from $198.2 million in the same period of 2020, which was in line with the increase in live streaming revenues. Bandwidth costs decreased to $27.5 million from $32.7 million in the same period of 2020, primarily due to the company's improved efficiency and the termination of bandwidth uses for India users after the India government's ban of Chinese apps in late June 2020, partially offset by their continued user base expansion outside India. Gross profit increased by 60.4% year-over-year to $203.4 million. Gross margin in the second quarter of 2021 improved to 30.7% from 26.8% in the same period of 2020. Operating expenses for the second quarter increased to $340 million from $247.6 million in the same period of 2020. Among the operating expenses, general and administrative expenses increased to $101.1 million in the period from $51.5 million in the same period of 2020, primarily due to the impairment loss arising mainly from an investment made in the prior years. Our GAAP operating loss for the second quarter was $101.1 million from $119.9 million in the same period of 2020. Operating loss margin for the second quarter was narrowed to 15.3% compared to 25.3% in the same period of 2020, primarily due to the increase of operating income of Bigo. Our non-GAAP operating loss for the second quarter, which excludes share-based compensation expenses, amortization of intangible assets from business acquisitions, as well as impairment of goodwill and investment and gain on disposal of subsidiary and business, decreased by 80.3% to $30 million, compared to $65.7 million in the same period of 2020. Non-GAAP operating loss margin for the second quarter was narrowed to 2% from 13.9% in the prior year period. GAAP net loss from continuing operations attributable to controlling interest of JOYY in the second quarter of 2021 was $109.3 million compared to $28.5 million in the same period of 2020, mainly due to the impairment loss arising mainly from an investment made in the prior years. Net loss margin was 16.5% in the second quarter of 2021, compared to 6% in the corresponding period of 2020. Non-GAAP net loss from continuing operations attributable to controlling interest of JOYY was $0.5 million in the second quarter, compared to $50.5 million in the same period of 2020. Non-GAAP net loss margin was significantly narrowed to 0.1% in the second quarter of 2021 from 10.7% in the same period of 2020. This means that we have almost achieved break-even at group level for the first time since we deconsolidated YY Live. Notably, Bigo has achieved a positive non-GAAP net income for the second quarter of $19.4 million, with non-GAAP net margin improved to 3.3% from negative 3.8% in the prior year period. Diluted net loss per ADS in the second quarter of 2021 was $1.43 compared to $0.39 in the same period of 2020. Non-GAAP diluted net loss per ADS was narrowed to $0.01 from $0.63 in the same period of 2020. In addition, in accordance with our quarterly dividend plan approved on August 11, 2020, and on November 16, we will be distributing a dividend of $0.51 per ADS for the second quarter of 2021, which is expected to be paid on September 29, 2021 to shareholders of record as of the close of business on September 10, 2021. Also, we would like to provide an update to our execution of the share repurchase program announced on May 2020, and which the company may repurchase up to $300 million of its shares till August 2021. As of June 30th, 2021, the company had repurchased approximately $296.8 million of its shares. We will continue to invest in business development initiatives to further expand our global market reach, cultivate our highly engaged user community, and enhance our high-quality content offerings. We will also actively explore other ways to maximize shareholder value. Beginning in the second quarter, we have anticipated some negative impact on users' online social entertainment activities from the gradual lift of pandemic-related lockdowns in certain countries. We expect our net revenues for the third quarter to be between $608 million and $635 million, representing a year-over-year increase between 13.7% to 18.7% on a constant currency basis. Excluding the revenue contribution from HUYA and YY Live in the same period of last year. We currently have limited visibility surrounding the COVID-19 epidemic's long-term impacts and geopolitical uncertainties on our business and the markets in which we operate. Therefore, this forecast only reflects our current and preliminary views on the market and operational conditions, which are subject to change. That concludes our prepared remarks. Operator, we would now like to open up the call to questions. Thanks.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer session. If you wish to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you need to cancel your request, please press the pound or hash key. Our first question comes from Thomas Chong at Jefferies. Please go ahead.
早上好，谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我有2个问题。第一个问题呢，是想多看一下我们 Q3 的收入的指引，还有就是我们下半年呢margin 的趋势。第二个问题呢是关于 Bigo Live 那边的。管理层可以分享一下呢，从这个付费率跟阿皮普那边的趋势，还有不同的市场的那个直播收入的表现。Thanks management for taking my questions. I have 2 questions. The first one is about the Q3 revenue guidance as well as the margin outlook in the second half. And my second question is about Bigo Live. Can management comments about the paying ratio, the people trend, as well as the live streaming revenue performance across different countries? Thank you.
谢谢 Thomas 的问题。我先回答一下。第一个问题关于 Q3 的 guidance 是这样，就陆续从2季度末开始部分国家开始解除疫情期间的封禁政策，对用户线上的娱乐活动有一定的负面影响。这个负面的影响包括用户线上娱乐活动时间减少，用户付费积极性下降等。目前疫情的短期影响尚未清晰，因此我们保守估计 Q3 集团的营收同比增长 13.7% 到 18.7%， 主要因为 Bigo Live 的付费率 UP 值的短期波动所导致。我们会在进一步明确该影响以后给各位做进一步的更新。从全年来讲，我们预期 Bigo 还将保持较高的一个增速。
This is Alex. I will answer your question. Regarding Q3 guidance, starting from the end of the second quarter, some countries are gradually lifting lockdown bans during the pandemic. Therefore, we have anticipated some negative impact on users' social entertainment activities online, which may reduce time spent on online entertainment and therefore affect some users' paying behavior, etc. So far, we have limited visibility into the precise impact of the lockdown removals. Therefore, we have provided a relatively conservative estimation for our Q3 revenue, which implies a year-over-year growth of 13.7% to 18.7% at group level, mainly due to short-term fluctuation of Bigo Live paying ratio and ARPU. We'll provide further updates once we have better visibility. In terms of revenue growth for the whole year, we do expect Bigo segment to remain a decent growth.
那么是对于第二个问题，关于区域的这个情况以及 Bigo Live 的一些指标的情况，是这样，就集团2季度的营收的增长主要是由发达国家和东南亚地区驱动，因为中东地区有节假日的一个原因，增速是缓于其他区域。目前发达国家、中东、东南亚等区域的营收贡献都比较平均，继续呈分散化的一个分布状态。单看 Bigo Live 的话， MAU 付费率和 App 值的增长共同驱动了2季度营收的增长。长期来看，由于以欧美、东太平洋地区为主的发达国家和中东的用户有较好的付费能力和付费习惯，我们看好发达国家和中东市场的潜力。同时，由于东南亚等发展中国家有巨大的用户基数，我们也在持续加大对这些地区的本地运营和内容生态的投入。随着我们不断培育用户的付费习惯，我们相信这些地区的变现潜力也是巨大的。谢谢。
As for the revenue distribution across different regions, the group's revenue growth in the second quarter was mainly driven by developed countries and Southeast Asia region. The Middle East region underperformed, mainly due to the Ramadan season. In terms of revenue distribution, our revenue is well diversified across the above-mentioned regions. For Bigo Live in the second quarter, the MAU growth, paying ratio, and ARPU expansion together drive the growth revenue. In terms of future trends, in the long run, we're positive about the potential of developed countries, including US, Europe, and Eastern Pacific regions, as well as the Middle East market, considering that users in these regions have better paying capability and also better payment habits. We are also expanding our localized operation and content efforts in Southeast Asia and also other developing countries, considering the huge user base, and also that as we continue to cultivate users' behavior and habits in these regions, we believe that the monetization potential of these regions is also promising.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Alex Poon at Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
早上好，谢谢管理层接受我的提问。我第一个问题想问一下，在 Bigo Live 产品和内容的升级方面，比如说最近我看到Bigo Live 里面有一些小游戏，包括 Ludo， 和我们在游戏直播方面也有很多的布局在不同的地区，然后也想追问一下这个带货电商，就在内容和产品上，除了娱乐直播方面，我们在其他地方的布局整体是现在什么情况？这是第一个问题。第二个问题是关于我们的现金和百度现在和百度的这个交易的进展是现在有没有一些更新？然后这个我们收到钱之后，可能这个现金会大概是有50-60亿的美金。net cash， 所以我们有什么计划去用这一笔钱？我们的这个回购在现在这个阶段已经3个亿的美金已经用完了，我们有没有考虑会再做进一步的回购？谢谢。My first question is related to Bigo Live new product and content strategies. Recently we have noted increasing penetration into game segments and also some casual games like Ludo, and also want to get an update around e-commerce strategy. And my second question is related to the use of cash and the status of the Baidu transaction. We have almost used up the share buyback program of 300 million. Do we have plans to initiate a new buyback program? And the use of any use of cash on other purposes, if you can share. Thank you very much.
谢谢，我来回答一下这个问题。我是李学林。就是我们在运营中发现，这个有部分的区域，比如说欧洲啊、中东、南美区域的用户呢，对游戏的内容本身十分感兴趣。所以呢，在过去几个季度呢，我们在这些区域呢是逐渐增加了这个游戏品类的内容。因为全球的手游的市场用户规模巨大，而 Bigo Live 本身的内容生态和丰富的社交互动方式和手游也非常互补。从长期来讲呢，游戏直播会是我们多样化生态内容里面的重要的一部分。我们会继续跟手游公司加大力度合作，经营和打造活跃的这个游戏内容社区。然后呢，像这个 Ludo 小游戏，这方面这是 Bigo Live 平台内用户建立关系链、多样化互动的一个尝试。让这个用户在 Bigo Live 里面除了看直播以外呢，也能够通过小游戏结识朋友。对，目前游戏直播和 Ludo 小游戏对 Bigo Live 用户的活跃度有一定的正面影响，但是呢，还得等待持续的观察，对这个营收的这个变现的这个贡献目前也是比较小的。对，然后另外一个呢，这个讲现金的问题。我想第一个就是说，其实大家可以看到，我们在2季度完成了这个1亿美元的股票的回购。对，然后呢，目前呢还在继续执行的这个每个季度的这个分红计划。对，因为呢这个我们这个有些交易呢其实是没有这个完全结束的。对，所以呢这个我们这个其他的这个现金呢，我是觉得目前还有一些不确定性，所以呢我们还是这个希望等到我们所有的现金都已经收到我们的这个账号里以后，我们再针对这些现金的这个处理，再出新的这个政策。
This is David. In terms of the new contents related to game live streaming and Ludo games, it's because throughout our operation, we found that users in certain regions, especially in Europe, Middle East, and South America, are very interested in gaming content. Therefore, in the past few quarters, we have gradually introduced more gaming content in these regions. As the global mobile game market has a very huge user base, and that Bigo Live's diverse content offerings and social interactivity fits mobile games naturally. In the long run, we believe that gaming contents will be an important part of our diverse content offerings. And we will continue to partner with leading mobile game companies to create active and lively gaming content community. As for the Ludo game, this is a small attempt by us to encourage users to establish connections and interact with other users, enabling users to engage in social interactions, not only through live streaming, but also by playing casual games. So far, we have seen positive impact on Bigo Live's user activity and engagement level from these newly introduced gaming contents and the Ludo games, but we might need longer time to draw any conclusion. The revenue contribution on gaming and Ludo games is still relatively small. As for cash usage, I believe that you could see from our earnings release that in the second quarter, we have repurchased around $100 million of our shares, and we are still executing our quarterly dividend payout program. As for the remaining cash, as the sale of JOYY Live has been substantially completed, but still with some customer matters still in progress, we would love to wait till the full completion of the deal to determine the remaining cash usage, so that we'll be able to give you a more clearer update. Thank you.
谢谢。
Our next question comes from Yiwen Zhang at China Renaissance. Please go ahead.
管理层早上好，谢谢接受我的提问。我这边也两个问题想请教一下。第一个就想追问一下咱们一个内容建设，因为靠上也说了很多次一个本地化的内容生态的建设，想请公司分享一下这个对咱们获客像活跃留存的一些帮助，包括这个对咱们和竞争对手差异化的竞争的一个帮助吧。然后第二个问题是关于变现那边，就想追问一下，就那个除了直播以外的一些其他变现进展，比如说像广告。Thank you for taking my question. I have two. The first thing regarding the content ecosystem, you mentioned a few times during the prepared remarks. Can you share more color in terms of how the localized content could help user acquisition, engagement, and also the retention, and how that could help differentiate with us from the peers? And secondly, on the monetization, can you talk about the progress on non-live streaming monetization, for example, the advertisement? Thank you.
好，谢谢你的问题。我觉得那个 Likee 目前的重点呢，我们还是把它放回了这个产品和内容生态。对，尤其是激励这个作者和这个社区的这个培养的这方面。对，这是我们从1季度其实就开始做出的这个改变。然后呢，我们实际上那个还是看到了非常多不错的改变，包括留存率啊，包括用户的使用的这个使用的这些频率啊、时长啊，都有一些正向的这个改变。对，然后未来呢，我觉得我们还会推出更多有利于创作者职业化发展的这些机制，比如说在这个创作者的筛选啊、培育啊、流量分配等方面呢，都会向着一些优秀的创作者倾斜。然后呢，并且使得这个创作者呢，是在这个未来的这个自身的变现方面呢，也有更大的发挥的空间。对，但是呢，这个跟广告相比呢，内容生态的这个耕耘是非常慢的一个过程，需要很长的时间的这个积累。对平台来讲和用户体验来讲呢，都是循序渐进的体验。对，所以呢，我们的这个策略呢，基本上还是在这个调整中，然后呢，要改变这个用户的这个习惯和这个培养出社区呢，需要一个缓慢前进的这样一个过程。对，然后呢，至于那个广告收入的这个方面呢，我们目前的这个产品主要变现方式有直播的收入、广告收入，还有一些那个会员的这种订阅服务的收入。目前呢，这个直播收入的这个比重还是相对比较大的，直播收入的这个比重有达到95%。对，其他的这个其他收入的这个季度同比增长呢，其实是达到了40.3%，这个环比增长是10%。然后呢，但是呢，这个目前呢，其他收入对贡献的这个百分比还是比较小的。我们正在稳步的推进这个其他的这个变现方案，然后呢，也会这个下半年吧，会逐步的上线一些变现工具，然后呢，加深这个用户和创作者的这个连接，帮助一些创作者提供变现工具，因此可以想办法扩大这个付费人群和这个收入规模。
This is David. I will answer your question. At this stage, the priority of Likee is still about content development, especially the motivation and cultivation of content creators and the development of a content creation community. This quarter, we have taken the first step. We've already seen positive impact on user retention rate, user time spent, and frequency of user on our platform. In the coming second half of the year, we will continue to launch more programs to better identify, cultivate creators, and also bring more conducive updates regarding traffic allocation and provide diversified monetization tools for creators, especially talented and those who have outperformed, so that we'll be able to enable creators to play a greater role on our platform. But what we'd love to say is that compared with advertising, the cultivation of content ecosystem does not happen overnight. The improvement of content offerings and user experience is a gradual process. We're still in the progress of adjusting advertising. We believe that there would be time spent to gradually change the users' using experience. We believe that it will have a positive impact on the health and sustainability of the product. Regarding diversify monetization, currently speaking, our revenue stream mainly includes live streaming, advertising, and membership subscriptions. As of today, live streaming is still our biggest revenue stream, contributing around 95% of our revenue, while other revenues, although growing at 40% year-over-year and close to 11% quarter-over-quarter this quarter, in terms of the size, is still relatively small. We're gradually progressing diversified monetization plans, and we'll launch some new monetization features in the second half, which we believe will be beneficial to the content creators, as it will better connect the fans and content creators and cultivate users' paying habits, and therefore driving the further growth of our revenue. Thank you.
谢谢 Thank you.
Our next question comes from Li Zhang at Bank of America. Please go ahead.
Hi， 管理层早上好，谢谢接受我的提问。我有2个小问题，第一个是想请教一下海外的这个整个监管的大环境的变化，因为国内这边现在就是属于监管的变化比较多，所以不知道海外有没有什么可以给我们分享的。第二个是想追问一下，我们从上个季度就开始的整个这个就是营销的方案的一个调整吧，是从这个买用户，然后可能更多的是投社区这一块，就想听一下我们整个现金流呀还有运营都没有什么问题，然后为什么不选择就是说内容跟用户一起投资呢？尤其是我们有一些可能国内出海的 competitor 现在海外其实投资还是蛮 aggressive 的，就是不知道管理层会不会对短期呢一些竞争的变化会觉得对我们整个用户会有一些冲击，尤其是鉴于我们在 sales and marketing 方面也做出了这个调整。我自己翻译一下，谢谢。Thanks management for taking my question. Two questions here. First, can you give us more color on our regulatory environment in different overseas markets and any concern like data privacy, content, or the tipping behavior? Secondly, want to follow up on the sales and marketing adjustment since last quarter. Since we have a good cash position and monetization remain good, well, our competitor are actually investing in overseas, so want to know your thoughts, or do you have any concern on the user growth from the dynamic competition chain? Thank you.
好，我大概回答一下这个。第一个就是说，如果不算 YY Live 的话，我们绝大部分的业务，现有的绝大部分的业务都是在海外市场了。对，所以呢，中国目前呢，主要是这个研发团队，这个和这个研发团队在中国。对，我们在这个海外市场方面呢，我们可以看到这个去年以来，我们在这个欧洲、东太平洋、中东，还有这个新兴国家等多个市场，这个全面开花。我们的营收在各个区域都是非常均衡的，在单一区域的这个风险大大降低了。然后呢，我觉得另外一个是自公司设立以来吧，我们觉得不论在哪一个市场运营，我们都要想办法遵循当地的这个法律法规，然后呢，这个遵循各个国家政府的政策和这个监管要求。然后呢，这个我们会根据形势发展灵活的这个调整用户的运营策略，然后呢，将在这个各个国家的地缘政治风险降到这个最低。
This is David. Regarding your first question about regulation, after the sale of YY Live, which has been substantially completed with certain customary matters to be completed, the majority of our business is located in non-PRC regions. But we do have R&D team located in China, as there are lots of experienced talents here. As for our global overseas market, as you can increased since 2020 as we penetrate into multiple markets such as Europe, Eastern Pacific region, the Middle East, and other emerging countries. Our revenue is actually well distributed across different regions, so the risk of any single region has been greatly reduced. And what we'd love to emphasize is that since the incorporation of JOYY, we have been strictly complying with local policy and laws, no matter in which countries we operate our business in. We will continue to execute our global strategy, reduce geopolitical risk to any particular region through further diversifying our revenue across multiple regions.
对，另外一个你问到的这个 Likee 的这个投放策略的这个调整的这个问题，我觉得是这样的，就是说，其实互联网产品有一个特色，就是我们早期实际上是依靠投放，然后呢，获取足够大的这个市场规模，然后呢，在市场规模到达一定规模以后呢，这个通过这个市场的优势地位呢，这个取得其他的竞争优势，比如说这个有更多的这个内容创作者呀，有更多的广告主啊，然后呢这个其他的这个优势呢，反过来再会加强我们这个用户规模的优势。我觉得这是一个基本的这个投放的一个逻辑。但是呢，这个逻辑呢，目前在短视频的这个领域呢，我认为对我们来讲是不适当的，对，因为第一个就是说，我们的竞争对手在短视频的这个领域，其实投下的这个资金的这个规模是远超我们的能力的，对，比如说我们这个大家从市场上估算的话哈，其实我们的这个最主要竞争对手他们应该在一年内的这个投放的这个规模应该是几十亿美金甚至到100亿美金这样的一个这个规模。对，那么在这样的一个竞争环境下呢，如果我们比如说投个几亿美元啊，甚至是10亿美元一年的投放费用呢，基本上我不认为能够起到任何的这个战略意义的作用。对，所以呢，我觉得这个如果是在这样的一个前提下，不如比较务实的回来，先把自己的业务做成一个健康的持续循环的盈利的业务。对，一旦我们的短视频业务进入一个健康的持续盈利状态，我相信我们在这个市场上就永远不会消失。所以呢，我们会在更长时间的这个维度下思考竞争力的问题。我们相信这个随着时间的推移，还会发现更多的改变竞争格局的机会。
Regarding your second question, we understand that previously for any internet products, the usual logic of expansion is that at the early stage, the product might choose to excessively invest in advertising to grab a relatively sizable user base. Therefore, it could actually leverage on the advantage in terms of its user base to gain other competitive advantages in terms of attracting more creators, attracting more advertising vendors, and in the third stage, via all of these advantages lead to a further user base expansion. That is a common logic of internet products, but we don't see that applicable for short form video, and it's not applicable to JOYY, because what we can see is that our main competitor right now is actually investing in dollar amount way more than what we can afford. From what we know is that one of our key competitors have been investing billions or even tens of billions of US dollar into user acquisition, and in such circumstances, if we invest a couple $100 million US dollar or $1 billion US dollar into user acquisition, it will not actually make any difference. So I think that Likee would like to be more practical and take a relatively more balanced growth strategy, whereby we love to ensure the health and sustainability of the product. Therefore, we'll be more able to obtain an established position from a longer-term perspective. We believe that we still have opportunity to change or to obtain competitive advantage in the longer term. Thank you.
谢谢学林总的分享，非常有用，very helpful. Thank you.
谢谢。
Our next question comes from Tian Xiao at TH Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi David， 我问 quickly 2个小问题吧。一个是咱们在中国做直播做已经很久了，也算是最早的一个很有经验了。那我们现在在国外做直播，它和我们原来在中国做直播有哪些是不同的地方？这是第一个问题。第二个呢，就是这个业务发展也有一段时间了，那么现在看呢，这个我们的这个利润率呢，现在还是一个负的。那就是在未来的时候，我就不知道我们对毛利润率和净利润率的一个走势有什么样的一个预期？就这2个问题，谢谢。我来翻译吧。一个是you know, JOYY has been doing live streaming for a long time. It was the first one in China. So in your mind, what's the difference between doing live streaming in China and overseas? That's number one. Number two, we have been doing overseas live streaming for a while, and what's the management's outlook in terms of gross margin and net margin going forward? Thank you.
我那个什么，我大概的这个是业务利润软件是吧？对，您问的这个 JOYY Live、Bigo Live 和 JOYY Live 这个国外运营和国内运营这个直播的这个差别我觉得其实差别确实挺多的，因为在各个国家、各个地域、各个文化，因为在中国你类似于你只要运营一个地域、一种文化，差不多就能够全部覆盖了，但是在国外是完全不一样的。所以呢，其实我们在全世界有30多个国家是有 local 办公室的。对，所以呢，我们都是有当地的运营团队，根据当地的文化、当地的法律、政府要求就进行调整。还有呢，这个当地的艺人也是需要当地的这个运营团队去维护的。对，所以呢，这个是一个很大的一个不同。另外一个我觉得不同的是那个在中国呢，实际上你所有的获客渠道的这个公司呢，其实都做直播了。对，那就是说等于是说这个所有的人都在做直播，所以呢你比较难以买到这个直播的用户或者直播的流量。但是呢在国外呢，因为主要的这个2个这个推广渠道是 Google 和 Facebook， 那么这2家公司呢其实都不做直播的业务，所以呢反过来讲呢，直播的业务呢有一个非常大的一个公共流量的一个规模一直在这里，所以呢主要是你利用好这个规模，然后做好自己的这个做好自己的这个留存用户留存、用户体验你是可以有一个比较稳定的持续获客通道
的。对，对于第2个这个利润趋势的问题，我来回答一下。其实大家能看到，我们2季度的利润是在稳步提升的。其实主要原因有3个，一是我们这个多产品线多样化的变现，然后营收的规模是不断增加的。其次是整体的运营效率不断的提升，我们的带宽成本、支付渠道成本的占比也是持续下降的。那么第3就是刚才提到的 Lucky 的广告投放费用的一个减少。今年下半年的话，我们认为经营效率还是会持续的稳步的提升。虽然增加了游戏直播的内容，但综合的这个内容成本率不会显著的增加，会保持相对的稳定。整体上来看的话 ，Bigo 将进入持续盈利的一个经历阶段。全年整体来看的话，我们认为 Bigo 将实现微幅的盈利。那么从中长期的角度来看的话，考虑到 Bigo Live 产品线单独的这个经营利润一直保持在20%左右，随着其他产品线逐步实现正的循环，我们认为整体的利润率将逐步稳健的增加。谢谢。
First, regarding the difference of operating live streaming business in PRC and also other areas of the world, there are quite significant differences. First of all, if you operate in global markets, because there are so many different regions, so many different culture, you're actually operating in multi-language, multicultural markets. While if you operate in China, there is only one single market. So that's why for Bigo Live, currently we have operating capabilities and teams in over 30 regions, and our local team operates based on very thorough understanding of local culture, law regulations, and the maintenance of and the development of local content and content creators are also maintained by these localized operational teams. And secondly, I believe that there is another difference in terms of user acquisition channels. In China, actually every user acquisition channel, all of these companies are doing live streaming themselves. So for live streaming platforms, it's actually very difficult to obtain additional user and to continuously expand their user base. As for the overseas market, the main user acquisition channel and advertising platform is Google and Facebook, and they themselves do not actually heavily rely on live streaming as a business. Therefore, the public pool of user traffic is available, and the source of user traffic channel is also more abundant for global live streaming business. Regarding margin trend, what we would love to say is that we've seen improvement of our net margin, non-GAAP wise, in the second quarter, mainly due to three factors. The first is continue revenue expansion with diversified monetization progress of multiple product lines. And second, improve operating leverage, lower bandwidth cost and payment channel cost. And third, as mentioned, the decrease in Likee's advertising costs. So for the second half of this year, we believe that we will continue to improve operating efficiency. And although gaming content has been introduced into Bigo Live, we do not foresee content cost margin to be increased significantly and will likely remain relatively stable in the future. And for marketing activities, as more marketing activities will roll out in the second half of the year, sales and marketing expense will be higher, but sales and marketing expense margin will likely to be slightly lower than the first half. So in conclusion, we believe that Bigo segment will enter into a new era of sustained profitability, and from the full year perspective, we believe that Bigo segment will achieve a positive non-GAAP net margin for the whole year. And from a longer perspective, considering that the standalone operating profit of Bigo Live has remained around 20%, and other products are gradually moving towards break-even, we believe that the overall profit margin will be gradual. Thank you. And that's the end of our call, and we look forward to speaking with everyone next quarter.
Thank you, management. This does conclude today's conference call. Thank you all for joining. You may now disconnect.